It's Tuesday again, and here we are back in our favorite place with our favorite fellow movie lovers in the movie theater lobby. For anyone who may not know, I'm Brandon, and this wonderful person who, for some reason, keeps inviting me back to co-host is...
It's me. It's Leia.
It is indeed. Thanks for inviting me back again, Leia.
Of course. I struggled, but you know.
It's rough getting along with me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Leia, I'm going to do something a little bit unorthodox by our usual show layout. I'm going to throw out a quick trivia item about this movie right up top because, see, I've got this box here, right? When the movie we're covering today was released in Sweden, it was released alongside some complimentary vomit bags.
Yeah, I don't think it was the only country either.
It wasn't the only one, but that one
in specific,
pretty notably.
Yeah.
At least I found a fair number of them online for really kind of odd collectibles. But that's what I have in this box here today.
You got some?
Yes, I did.
I wish I would have had one when we watched it recently.
Save it for the next viewing.
Did you get enough for everybody?
I hopefully got enough for everybody.
Okay.
As you can see, well, not everyone's really piling in, but give them time.
Yeah.
There'll be people coming in. I bought a number just in case.
Okay.
Leia, I guess now as we hand out these barf bags, what movie is it that we're covering today?
Braindead, or a.k.a. Dead Alive here in the States.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Braindead, a.k.a. Dead Alive, a horror, would really call it, it is.
I don't even think Peter Jackson calls it horror.
A horror comedy from 1992. Skull Island, southwest of Sumatra, 1957 is where we set our scene. Two men race through a rocky gorge carrying a palanquin. Rather quickly...
Wait, what's a palanquin?
Palanquin. When you see people carrying, like...
like in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just like that.
All right.
Two men carrying their palanquin. Rather quickly, the duo are surrounded by locals, threatening them with spears.
Just like in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It happens everywhere you go when you're carrying a palanquin. That is an inherent trouble with carrying palanquins. They're given the mandate.
It says the rat monkey must be set free. It says we must leave this valley and never return, or the evil spirits will exact their revenge.
After a failed chit-chat, the zoo poacher produces a gun, and with the full might and authority of the New Zealand Zoo...
I'm a New Zealand zoo official, and this monkey is going to Newtown.
...proceeds to do what most colonialists would do, and mow everyone down.
Of course.
Hot-footing it, the pair make it to an escape vehicle, believing the worst is behind them. However, with a sudden jostle of the Jeep, one of the men is bitten by the monkey in the cage.
The little bugger bit me, Singo.
Realizing the significance of the bite, the unbitten man takes action. He kicks the unfortunate zoo official out of the car and proceeds to chop all bitten appendages off, then notices that the unfortunate soul was also scratched on the forehead. I wonder what he's going to cut off next. The screen fades black, and we are on a tarmac where the crate has still been delivered to waiting air crew and destined for the Wellington Zoo. Though we don't see the ill-fated zoo man again.
Pretty sure he's not with us anymore.
Shock and surprise, right? We ride with a different zoo official in a zoo delivery vehicle through a quaint wee town, and we stop off at a cozy little grocery store with an adorable clerk named Paquita, played by Diana Peñalver. In between customers, Paquita is sitting in a table in a kitchen with her grandparents. Grandpa's ravenously chowing down a meal, and Grandma breaks out a set of tarot cards to read Paquita's romantic future. Cards are dealt, and a knight of swords, clad in black armor, is drawn.
And this is the man of your future.
This represents Paquita's future romantic entanglement, whom she is destined to love forever.
Aww.
A man she will know by the symbol of a star and a moon. The reading is disrupted as Grandma seems distraught on a recently drawn card, and a man walks into the storefront. Awkward and clumsy, this man is Lionel, played by Timothy Balm, and he is dropping off his grocery order. As he leaves, he grabs some licorice and spills a few items across the desk, which...
I'll take one of these now.
seemingly scatter into the shape Paquita understands to be the very star and moon she was just told to be seeking. Instantly, she becomes smitten.
She becomes crazy.
She really kind of does. Almost to a creepy level. Lionel heads home, and now we meet Mum.
Mum.
Brought to life by Elizabeth Moody. Demanding, controlling, and oppressive, Mum takes Lionel to task about his tasks, or lack thereof, according to her. As next Lionel mows the lawn, Paquita arrives with the freshly grossed goods. I'm trying to make grossed grocery into a verb now.
Yeah, okay.
See if it works. Paquita pursues the perpetually perplexed Lionel by pinpiting Pim Poo Pa Zuzu.
What?
She invites him to the zoo. I got on a whole pee thing.
And it just kind of
I couldn't
spiraled
stop.
out of control.
Got stuck.
Okay.
You want to go to the zoo?
Yes, please.
Oh.
Jealous and disruptive, Mum intentionally drops a vase in the house to manipulate Lionel into coming inside.
Ooh, she's terrible.
She is nasty. To dote on her instead of Paquita. However, the zoo date is already made. As the newly infatuated couple meanders through the zoo, they laugh and chat happily. A kiss is shared and quickly interrupted by monkey mischief. In good-hearted retribution, an apple core is playfully thrown back to the prankster, when a sudden strike knocks the monkey on its ass. A sinewy, hairless claw reaches through the fence and steals the apple, then revealing a disgusting wee critter that looks like, and is, a disturbing hybrid of hairless monkey and mange-sickened rat.
Reckon they're only found on one island, you know. Story goes these great big rats come scuttling off the slave ships and raped all the little tree monkeys.
The simian radicus, rat monkey, from Sumatra. Carnage not to be left on the cutting room floor, the rat monkey tosses the apple core aside in exchange for a bigger meal. It again reaches through the cage and tears the arm off of the previously assaulted simian in the adjacent cage. As gore drips from its lips and claws, our love-struck pair watch in horror and shocked repulsion.
They need a barf bag.
If I could go back in time and send them some of these. Needing to rest her feet after the terror she has just witnessed, Paquita and Lionel find a quiet place to sit. This is when we discover Mum has been following them all day at a distance. She peers through the bushes when she suddenly slips on some unsteady ground and grasps a nearby enclosure for steadying. This has left her in a most vulnerable position, and she is bitten by the Nesticus radicus. As she shrieks loud enough to wake the entire zoo, Lionel is drawn to her sudden appearance. In destructive retribution, Mum steps on and squashes the head of the demonic-looking specimen as she rants and raves in disbelief at the atrocity that has occurred.
It bit me. I've been savaged.
Ever the master manipulator, Mum plays the situation as a victim and mopes to Lionel to take her home.
Take me home.
As Mum is stricken by a mysterious illness with absurd symptoms, and Lionel does his best to, shall we say, deal with her incredible condition.
Deal he does. Seriously, does he deal?
More than I would imagine anybody would ever do. Let's cut and run before we get too caught up in the bizarre events. If you've never seen this movie, go check it out. If gross out horror comedy is your style, it's got it all. Zombie copulation, zopulation, if you will. Nascent zombies, pustules, blisters, a greedy and disgusting uncle, martial arts men of the cloth, and of course, fountains of blood galore, or gore. No, that one doesn't work.
Why have you deliberately gone out of your way to upset me?
That one's rough even
You
for
just
me.
keep trying, though, you know?
I do. If I do anything, I try.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's leave all that behind. Let's leave the fun stuff for people to experience on their own, right? Which, of course, means, Leia.
Next topic. So let's talk about the director.
Oh.
But I want to talk about the director with the director's significant other.
That's
feel
like
like
the plan.
You can't have one without the other.
Really, this is an instance where it's really hard to separate the two.
It's hard to separate the two because most of the things we'll talk about, one relates to the other.
It's true.
Most.
Not everything, but
Not
most.
everything. So the director's name is Sir Peter Jackson.
Oh, who's that again?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the what?
Shut up.
Okay.
And Dame Fran Walsh,
Uh-huh.
which is his partner.
Right, her name I know.
You know what's funny is I think it's weird that people know Peter Jackson's name really well, but they don't know Fran Walsh's name very well. I feel like they should be synonymous.
I think it is unfortunate. However, she does prefer to be extremely private.
Yes.
So for
that
her
on
good,
herself, I suppose.
For her preference, I think she prefers it that way.
Yeah.
Though I agree with you.
It is weird though.
Women in general don't get enough credit for any of their contributions.
Yeah.
And she has literally contributed to some of the biggest films in film history.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I think her name should be mentioned
more.
Nearly synonymously.
So I had said that his name is Sir Peter Jackson and Dame Fran Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten the Companion of the Order of New Zealand Merit back in 2002.
Yes.
For their services in the film industry.
Yeah.
So that's how they got those titles.
Some titles.
Got yourself some titles.
That's right.
Did you know Peter Jackson was born on Halloween?
Was he really?
That fascinates me.
That's pretty awesome.
And I'm jealous.
My
sort of
favorite
jealous.
holiday.
Sort of jealous. Because I still get a birthday and I get Halloween,
That's
I suppose.
true.
He just gets Halloween.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, he does.
So do you think he has to do much dressing up at 5'4 3/4?
I think.
He just throws like a wig on and goes barefoot and he's a hobbit?
I know there have been many a time Fran herself has referred to him as a hobbit.
Short, barefoot, and hairy. Just like a little hobbit.
That's right. An adorable wee man.
Yeah, he's a short, cute, little chubby, hairy guy.
Yeah, why not? That's some of the best people I know.
He writes everything with his partner.
He
just
does.
about everything.
They like to share that task, and I think that's phenomenal.
I think District 9 is one of the few that I found he didn't write with her. I believe that was the one. But he's written Heavenly Creatures, Meet the Feebles.
Oh, Meet the Feebles, right.
These are all ones he's written with her.
Mm-hmm.
Frighteners, which is a pretty,
Love that.
I don't think a lot of people remember that one, but it's
so very underrated.
pretty memorable
Yeah, it
if
is.
you've seen it. Lovely Bones, of course, the Lord of the Ring trilogy.
Of course.
And then King Kong.
King Kong. Well, and The Hobbit as well. Which
I just jumped it all
kind
into
of
the
folds
Lord
into
of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
story. Also, can't forget their very first film together, Bad Taste.
Yes, actually, where they met.
Yeah.
Peter and Fran met during the final stages of production for Bad Taste.
Mhm. She didn't write on that one, did she? They were just working together on that
They were just
one.
working together,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where they developed their kinship for movies
Indeed.
together. I had mentioned Heavenly Creatures. That was actually Walsh's brainchild. So that was her big baby.
That was her big story.
Yep, she got a lot of awards for it.
Yeah.
They both got awards
Of course.
she was the one who came up with the idea for that
That's a
one.
very notable movie to add to kind of the coolness that is Fran Walsh. She was in a punk band,
The Wall
the
Sockets.
Wall Sockets. And I listened to a few of their songs, and I liked their music.
Yeah?
It was pretty
Pretty
good.
good?
Yeah.
Is it punky enough for you? Or is it poppy punky?
Some of them skew kind of punky, and then some of them skew a little more
Poppy punky?
popish. But still, hey, it's fun music, man. I think that's super cool that she had that little punk life.
Yeah, she's got a Grammy for a song in Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
So her
good for
music,
her.
she's
got
kept
some
up on her
musical
music.
talent. I was able to do more research on her, and of course, granted, everything that's there would have been likely public information anyway, but she's a private person and she prefers it that way. So I didn't bother looking into too much more.
I didn't care about her privacy. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, Leia.
I'm joking. I do.
Uh-huh,
I
right.
care. I care. I was just teasing.
Shall we talk about another one of the writers?
Not
real
yet.
quick? Oh.
No, because I need to mention that he has directed one film that has been selected for the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, which is
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring from
Yeah.
2001. So I had to put that one out there.
Yep. That's one of the things we've really stuck to calling out.
Yeah. I do also want to mention Peter Jackson's won 3 Oscars and he's had 6 nominations. Fran has had 3 Oscars and 4 nominations, but really the only thing that sets them apart is that he did District 9, which got some of those nominations.
Right. She's got a better win ratio than he does.
She does. That's true.
Uh-huh.
If you take the ratio, she's coming out ahead.
That's right, she is.
I
I wonder if she ever brings that up at home.
don't know. I would all
My
the
win
time.
ratio's better.
So yeah, let's. You said you want to talk about the writer.
Yeah, so
The other writer.
The other writer. There's another guy that tends to
So if it wasn't
collaborate.
clear, Fran and Peter were writers.
Right, yes.
And then there's another writer.
There's another writer, Stephen Sinclair.
Yes. who's also very much involved with Fran and Peter.
Yes. Yeah, he does a lot of work with them. Mentioned Meet the Feebles already. He contributed to writing on that one. He helped with Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Yep.
Not the whole rest of the series, but that one in
Just
particular.
that one, yeah.
For some notoriety for himself, he wrote and directed the film called Russian Snark.
Yeah.
Which
she acted and directed it.
Yeah. It got a lot of fair acclaim and some awards, and I think that's great. Good for him.
He's also written a few novels as well. Thief of Colors, Dread, The Dwarf and the Stripper.
Of course.
The classic.
Yeah, no, that's
Dwarf
one of
and
my
the Stripper.
favorites.
Yeah. He has also co-authored a stage comedy sensation called Ladies' Night.
Mm-hmm.
In 2001, the French version actually won the prestigious Moliere Award for stage comedy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one has also gotten a lot of awards. So this film, believe it or not, this film, it was involved with a lot of people who
have gone on to do amazing things.
Super creative and super talented. Yeah.
And to think even further, these same people were the ones that were responsible for Meet the Feebles too.
Indeed.
And I remember watching that and going, there's no way Peter Jackson did this. No, there's no way.
Yeah. You had come to Meet the Feebles post watching the Lord of the Rings series.
I did. And I was like, you're lying.
Yeah.
There's no way. How does that go from that to Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think I ever showed you Bad Taste, but we'll have to watch that.
I think I've seen it.
Oh, have you? Okay.
In passing.
Maybe,
Yeah. I don't think we sat down and just watched it.
Yeah. I've seen it a few times and it's a ride.
Yeah. If you guys like musicals, but like super weird musicals, I would recommend also seeing Meet the Feebles.
Meet the Feebles, yeah.
We talked about musicals on Blue Sky recently, and I forgot about that one. That one's definitely up there.
It's not like full-on musical,
No.
but their music does play a large part
of
in
it. Which probably has a lot to do with Fran, because she's really,
really musical.
Musical, yeah.
It doesn't shy away from being offensive.
No.
Let's just say
It's
that.
actually, that's part of the shock factor of the whole movie. Is you're watching and you're like, did he really just say that to her? Oh my God.
Nearly every step along the journey is offense.
Yeah.
And
you're just like, your mouth is open the whole time you're watching it. Just slack-jawed.
Just understand
I can't believe you're watching this.
It's not a reflection of the creator's views. It's just showing a community of really disgusting,
really
awful,
messed up
characters. Yeah. I think it's more of a satire than intentionally gross.
Yeah.
Well, it is intentionally gross, but
well, that's Peter Jackson for you in his early years for sure. All right, anyway, we're not talking about Meet the Feebles.
Yeah, moving on.
So let's get into talking about some of the actors for the film.
Yeah, let's check them out real quick.
So, of course, we've got Timothy Balm, played Lionel Cosgrove.
Indeed he did. What a character.
He is a character. Couldn't find a lot of information about him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. Even though he's been in the film industry for
a very long time.
Obviously a long time. He's done a lot of work. But yeah, not a whole lot on his life outside of his career.
No, this was his first feature film where he got his start. That's what he's known for, really.
Yep. He has popped into a lot of other things, though. So.
Little things here and there.
Yeah.
He was in 49 episodes of the TV series Mercy Peak, which was a soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
He's also in 36 episodes of the TV series The Almighty Johnsons.
Right.
So he's been in a couple longer running TV series. He also does a little bit of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So he did write for The Almighty Johnsons. He wrote The Broken Wood Mysteries and Outrageous Fortune. He did graduate from, I'm going to totally murder this because I can't pronounce it.
Right.
Toi Wakari. That's phonetically, okay?
Right.
I apologize. But it's New Zealand's National Drama School. So he graduated from 1989 from there and then went right into this first lead role for Braindead.
What a role to start with.
Yeah. Next would be, how do you say her name? You say it so elegantly.
Diana Peñalver.
Peñalver.
That's my suspicion, at least.
All right. Well, it's a good suspicion. Again, not a lot I could find on her. She does a lot of Spanish films.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's actually a fairly established Spanish actress.
Yeah.
So
first film was in 1983, so she's been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dead Alive was pretty much the first film she did that was not in Spain.
Yeah.
She also played a woman named Paquita again in The Nanny's Night. And funny enough, her character is named after her grandmother.
No kidding.
Yeah. So her grandmother's name was Paquita Maria Sanchez. So that's probably why the name Paquita comes up again.
Yeah.
Because
I wonder if she was able to choose her character name in another film. You said, oh, Paquita.
Yeah, I like that. A little homage
Yeah.
to Grandma.
Little, hey, Grammy, got you. Of course, we like to call out things they've been in, and I fully admit I'm not familiar with a whole lot of Spanish.
Yeah, so they
film
can
and
call out
TV.
stuff she's been in, but I don't know how popular some of the
Yeah.
things she's been in are.
So I'm just going to call out a few
But the
things.
Nanny's Night was one of
Yeah,
them.
Nanny's Night.
That's a newer one.
Las Chicas de Hoy en Día. She had 26 episodes on that. That looked like it was kind of more of a
Soapy opera.
soap opera kind of thing. Yep. Canción de Cuna. That was another movie she had participated in. And El Comisario had 13 episodes on that one. So kind of like a police procedural drama thing.
I don't remember what the name of it was, but she was in another movie where she played a prostitute. She's the daughter of a priest who didn't legitimize her, but then he finds out that he has a granddaughter, and so then he retires from being a priest to go be this little girl's grandpa and all of the stuff that happens in between.
Wow. All right.
I was reading the synopsis and I'm like, this sounds crazy.
Yeah. There's really a lot of twists and turns that just happened.
So the film is called Padre Nuestro, and it was older than Braindead. This film came out in 1985. All right, should we talk about Elizabeth Moody?
I think we should.
Real quick.
If there's anyone else we're going to cover, she for sure needs a spot.
So she played Mum, or I think her name was Vera.
Yeah, Vera Cosgrove.
Vera Cosgrove. She's actually also been in Fellowship of the Rings.
She had just a wee little spot.
Lobelia Sackville Baggins in the extended version.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson brought her back for another wee role.
And he must like her acting or like working with her because she was also in Heavenly Creatures.
Yeah.
She was also a regular panelist on the New Zealand version of the Australian talk show Beauty and the Beast for a very long time. She's also active in theater, acting, and directed some of those theaters productions such as the Roger Hall comedy and Social Climbers in like around 2009. So she's pretty active in the community as well. She was older even in this film, so she's no longer with us.
Yeah, she passed away a little bit ago. She was born in England, but she did emigrate to New Zealand in 1957. And then she became a naturalized citizen.
Yeah.
So, and her first film role was playing the character named Mabel in the movie The Scarecrow, which the title was changed when it came to the States to Clinham's Summer. So the States are real stupid with naming things. So.
I don't understand why they'd have to change the name.
They always do it when there's another film produced in the States that has a similar title. Just let the title stay the same. Come on.
Yeah. So that was in 1982. That was 10 years before this movie.
Right. She's an active lady.
Yeah. All right. So are we ready to move on to Smaclean?
I think we are.
I don't have very good numbers on this one because they kind of seem like they're all over the place.
Yeah, they were kind of wide ranging, and I wasn't really certain on which ones to truly believe.
Yeah, so from the numbers and from Box Office Mojo, I got only 242,600 for the whole run. And then you looked up something that was like the millions.
Yeah, I found another total that showed that it grossed like 1,627,000.
Huge difference.
Big difference.
Regardless.
We don't know if that number is from like, hey,
total?
When it was released in 92, plus the other times it's come back to theaters.
Yeah.
Or if it includes at-home video sales.
Not sure.
We're just gonna kind of do our best on this one.
Yeah, but production budget was $3 million.
Yeah.
So I think either way, no matter how you slice it, they didn't do very well on this one.
But you did at least calculate some legs just for our own little estimation.
Yeah. So domestically, if you were to assume that domestically it did 242,000,
right.
And if you're going to assume that the opening weekend was 23,765, which is what we found on the numbers and on Box Office Mojo, then the legs would be about 10.2, which is quite high.
Yeah.
But it also, to me, that says there was quite a fizzle.
Yeah.
So it was like huge, and then everyone was like, oh, that was gross. I can't see that. And they told all their friends how gross it was, and nobody went back to watch it.
And here in the States, it only released to 11 cinemas nationwide.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's no wonder it didn't make a whole lot of cash here in the U.S.
Yeah. On its initial release in its home turf of New Zealand, this movie actually earned more per screen than Batman Returns.
See, that makes me think that it earned a lot more money worldwide than the internet is telling us.
Well, but it does say on its initial release, but I would say if it earned more per screen than Batman Returns, that tells me it probably made more.
Right, like maybe it
than
opened only in one cinema and then it was $24,000.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
So it did receive a Saturn Award for Best Horror Picture. And then the New Zealand Film and TV Awards are not necessarily known worldwide, but for their own little country, I think it's worth mentioning that this film received from that awards ceremony Best Dramatic Male Performance, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. New Zealanders love their little home movie over there. Okay, yeah. And
Quite proud of it.
Yeah, they are, as silly as the movie is. And of course, it did get generally positive reviews from critics and audiences alike, which is pretty unique considering the style of movie that it is. And generally, specific praise was often heaped on the gore, special effects, and then also praising the kind of goofball nature of the film. Inspiration you want to get into?
So there's quite a bit of inspiration. Peter Jackson and Fran had pulled from a lot of other horror films, and you would think it would be movies like Cannibal Holocaust.
Right.
But it was actually more like movies like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
The screwball, goofball nature.
And even the blood, the use of blood was also an inspiration from that movie. And a prime example of that, and one that Peter Jackson brought up, was the scene where the bridge sentry, the Black Knight, played by John Cleese, is getting into a sword fight with King Arthur, who's played by Graham Chapman, and they cut his arms and legs off, and it's blood squirting everywhere. And what's the famous line he says there?
It's a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
He used a lot of that, the copious amounts of blood and the humor as part of his inspiration for this film and for a lot of his other films.
And the knight clad in black shows up pretty, well, not prominently in this movie, but it is a focal point for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. His trademark, of course, is the copious amounts of blood we just talked about. Another movie that he had gotten inspiration from was George Romero's Dawn of the Dead from 1978.
I could see even a lot of the blood use coming from, like, say, Evil Dead or something as well. I mean, I don't know if that
actually is Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2, yeah.
Dead by Dawn was also the inspiration for the comedy part of this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Because, I mean, when you watch this movie, you could easily be forgiven for thinking it might be Sam Raimi's love child.
He's also been known to say that, you may think that this hardcore, like, blood gushy horror type thing interested Jackson as a filmmaker, but he's gone on to say that as a viewer, he loves this stuff, but it is not the inspiration for his work as a filmmaker.
Okay.
So
he's just making a film he wanted to see.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's all right.
He pulls more of the comedy stuff. So he likes films with lots of blood in it, but he finds comedy in those films that he likes, and that's what he pulls into these films.
And you can sort of see that from his much later ventures, where they become a lot less gory in general.
Yeah.
While, of course, Lord of the Rings was not a Monty Python journey through Middle-earth, it did have little bits of comedy here and there kind of peppered in.
Yeah, and he certainly didn't want it to be taken too seriously.
Yeah, and then in his other films, you can absolutely see dashes of comedy. It seems to be ever present with the mention that his focus on comedy. I've got two taglines that I thought were kind of very fitting for this film. One is laughter, slaughter, and gore galore. So, of course, that's very fitting, right? This one really summarizes the whole concept pretty well. Some things won't stay down even after they die. Kind of perfectly hit taglines.
How about this? Where else can you watch a living bowel strangle someone?
Yeah.
That wasn't a tagline, but that was something that somebody said in one of the promos.
That is certainly I would slap that on the front of my book any day.
That was I was about to say that was the weirdest part of the film, but it really is not.
No,
there's so many weird parts of this film.
Odd. Yeah, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, intestines strangling people, why not?
Talking buttholes.
Yes.
Go for it.
You gotta have them.
Gotta have them. It's like a Pokemon. You gotta catch them all.
Catch them all.
So we had talked about all the blood that was used in this film, and there's a statistic out there that says that this film used 80 gallons, roughly 80 gallons, 79.8 or something like that, gallons, rounded off, which is 300 liters of fake blood in just the final scene of the film.
Yeah, and there was so much gore before that.
And
too.
there was so much before that. That's just the final scene
Final
of the film.
sequence, yeah.
They say it's the bloodiest film of all time. Of course, that's not
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
But I would say it's a contender. It's got to be in the top 5.
Oh, it has to be.
So there's so much blood. During the lawnmower scene, the movie blood was pumped at 5 gallons per second.
Mm-hmm. Which is pretty quick.
Which is pretty quick. So there's a lot of blood coming out of that lawnmower. Timothy had said that it was December when that scene was shot.
Mm-hmm.
The weather was so cold, he said the fake blood froze and hardened all over his clothing.
Oh, yeah.
That had to be miserable.
Ruins me just. I hate the cold.
To think about being wet and cold.
That doesn't make me happy at all.
And looking like a horror popsicle.
Yes.
Of course, with all this blood, there were some problems.
Yeah, there were.
You can't have this much blood without getting in trouble with the local authorities.
Yeah, when the authorities come knocking at your door because, oh my God, there's red everywhere.
The local council was called because they were pumping fake blood from the finale into the Hutt River.
Uh-huh. The locals were so concerned that a massacre had happened upstream that they called the officials.
I mean, I can see why they got in trouble for that.
Yeah, I can understand why.
It's not cool, man.
I mean, you really shouldn't just go dumping fake blood
gallons of fake blood into the river.
Bodies of water. I guess it's got to go somewhere, right? And hey, in the 1990s, we were just putting stuff everywhere. With the mention of blood, right? Of course, blood gets everybody's haunches up in an uproar. There's a lot of variations of this movie. Around the world, it got cut to different lengths because, oh, hey, we don't like this much blood in there. We don't like talking buttholes or whatever it is.
Yeah, New Zealand, they're savage.
Yeah. So in the UK and Australia, the film was shown at a cut that was 104 minutes long. And that's the full uncut
version. 104.
104 minutes.
Okay.
In a lot of other countries, it was censored down to a 94-minute version. So
that's 10 minutes of footage gone.
That's a whole, 10 minutes of extra blood and gore that's missing.
Right.
What the hell? In the US, it got released at 97 minutes. So we're still missing 7 minutes worth of good stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe, who knows, maybe it wasn't good. I'm going to
go ahead on a limb there and say it was good stuff.
Yeah. It also, in the States, got released as an 85-minute R-rated cut, which I shudder to even think about.
So was it an X-rated cut then? The one that was longer?
It was an unrated cut.
Unrated,
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Funny that they still couldn't get the unrated cut to pass as the 104-minute one. But yeah, so in the States, it got cut down in those 2 different versions and then retitled as Dead Alive because there was already a movie called Braindead here in the States. This film's Braindead title was one word, Braindead. The one in the States is Brain Space Dead.
Mm-hmm.
But they still didn't want the confusion, so they forced a retitle. But Peter Jackson has come out to say that the 97-minute US version is his preferred version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Too much blood in the one that he came out with in New Zealand?
Maybe just a little extra stuff that,
it could have been even not bloody stuff. It could have been just boring stuff. He's like, I'm so glad they got rid of that.
Yeah.
We had spoken about how they got in trouble with the blood in the river.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually another lawsuit that happened, and film legislation got changed because of this film.
Oh, no kidding. So
Yeah.
is this an in with the old, or in with the new, out with the old?
No, not necessarily.
segment?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
necessarily. So Braindead was subject to a lawsuit after its release. The lawsuit was called Bradley versus Wingnut Films. If nobody's familiar with Wingnut Films, it's a production company in New Zealand. And they're known for producing and collaborating with Peter Jackson. It was alleged that Braindead had infringed the privacy of the plaintiff by containing pictures of the plaintiff's family tombstone.
The cemetery sequence.
So this case became one of a series of cases that contributed to the introduction of tort invasions of privacy in New Zealand. So a tort is like a legal wrongdoing committed by one person against another in New Zealand and Australia. They call them torts.
Okay.
The tort invasion of privacy gives a person grounds to sue if their private information is wrongly publicized in a way that would be considered highly offensive to a reasonable person, with key factors being the existence of a private fact with a reasonable expectation of privacy and the publication of that fact in a highly offensive manner. So it's typically applied to situations like disclosing medical records, finances, sexual orientation without consent. But this one fell into those categories. This happened because of that that instant. Well,
Interesting.
not just that instance. There was a couple other that were happening at the same time, but this one definitely contributed to creating that. So for better or worse, not sure if it was better or worse, but it changed the way that films had to be
in
made.
New Zealand.
The scene where the tombstone's in, was that the same scene where they went to the funeral for his mother?
It would have likely been the nighttime sequence a bit afterward. There is a short daytime sequence where they go to the funeral, but I don't think they deal too much with showing a lot of headstones and stuff. But in the nighttime sequence, there's a lot of graves, headstones, mausoleums that get shown.
Is that the scene where Peter Jackson is in it?
No, Peter Jackson is in the scene where they're in the mortuary and they're preparing her before funeral.
So I remember he was in this film.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember what scene it was.
Yeah, he makes an appearance. Most people recognize Peter Jackson with a big fluffy beard, right?
Yeah.
In this movie, he is completely beardless.
Oh.
And he is a fresh-faced babe.
Aww.
No, he plays his character is really excited about the mistake he's having to have caused. There's a sandwich that is laying atop the corpse that is spewing all sorts of bile and additive chemicals. And he plays a character who just picks up his sandwich and begins chomping on it. But speaking of the sequence in the cemetery, this is not really so much a fact or an interesting tidbit or anything. In that particular nighttime sequence, Lionel is going there to tranquilize his undead mother, who's already buried in the ground. But this is a task that he continually does throughout the movie. Again, like we mentioned earlier, he deals with the situation. This is way more dealing. Would he have to come back here every night and unbury her and then tranquilize her again? I don't understand. Anyway, the point I'm getting at, when he comes here at night to tranquilize his mother, he's accosted by a group of leather-clad thugs. Do they just regularly hang out in cemeteries?
I mean, maybe this was before goth times,
Maybe.
when like the goth would hang out in cemeteries. Yeah. It's just like leather-clad weirdos.
Leather-clad weirdos who start beating him up because they assume he's a corpse pervert.
Oh.
So
maybe they're hired goons to protect the cemetery.
That might
That's
be
probably what it is.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I thought that was the most odd location for a bunch of ruffians to be hanging out in the middle of the night.
They're being paid good money to be there.
I guess so.
Okay. There's actually a scene in the movie, too, where it's not in the graveyard. This is the scene. Do you remember the park scene where he brings the baby to the park?
Yes, I do. Selwyn.
Yeah, he brings it to the park. So they finished their movie under budget with about 45,000 New Zealand dollars left. He decided to take 2 days to shoot that park scene with Lionel and baby Selwyn. And he says to this day, it's his favorite scene. And that is the funniest scene in that whole film.
Yeah, I love that.
And you're just looking at it with your mouth open like, oh my God.
Yeah. So here's what we'll do. We'll throw in just a quick little, because I want to talk about it just a wee bit more, because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do a quick little, I hate to call it a spoiler, because it's not so much.
Put some headphones on, plug your ears.
Spoiler, it's a movie that can't really be spoiled. Just go watch the movie.
Just go watch it.
Spoiler territory here now, bingo bango.
I really think we should be going here. Thank you, Lionel.
There we go. It's the scene where he's, in the plot I spoke of, zombie copulation.
Yeah.
There is a baby zombie that gets born.
Yeah, that happened too.
It's vicious. It is a monstrous little demon.
I love his name. Selwyn is
yeah,
perfect.
I thought that was great. It's just this park sequence where it's a bright sunny day.
His family's there.
Families are having fun, picnics and all of that. And Lionel is there with this carriage, baby in the carriage. It's like he's trying to actually be a good human to this
baby,
monstrous zombie baby.
Yeah.
And it's just this slapstick sequence of him versus this baby.
All the mischief the baby's getting into and all the things he's doing to like subdue the baby from killing everyone.
Yeah. And all these people are watching in horror.
Yeah, because he's literally pummeling them.
As he pummels a baby.
Pummels the baby, throws him up in the air. I think he's pushed him on a swing once and like pushes him like really hard or something. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Really crazy stuff. Were it not a zombie baby, I would not be as inclined to be laughing.
This baby cannot be harmed.
This is an immortal baby.
Immortal.
It's more than a baby. Let's just say that. So
I think we're in the clear to laugh
at this one.
Peter Jackson also did King Kong. He always wanted to do a King Kong film.
Yeah, it's one of his biggest inspirations for getting into film.
Yes, he loves King Kong. He's also really into World War I stuff. I think he just really likes that era.
That's the era.
Yeah, and I'm sure World War I's before that era, but like, from like the 20s through the 50s or 60s, that time frame. He kind of made an homage to this movie in the King Kong film by mentioning the Sumatran rat monkey on the scene on the boat.
Yeah.
It was written on a crate.
It's only a bloody monkey, for Christ's sake. Now, pick it up.
You'd be forgiven for missing it.
You would be. But if you've seen this film and then you saw that, you'd probably make the connection. But the other connection is that the island where they got this Sumatran rat monkey is actually the same island where King Kong is from.
You know, the natives use them in black magic rituals.
Really?
Yeah. Don't ask me how.
Film opens with the text while we're staring at this really rocky gorge, literally calls out Skull Island.
Skull Island.
And that is the name of the island from King Kong. And in fact, it is the exact same gorge that he filmed parts of King Kong
I freaking love that.
Yeah.
It's like a huge movie connection where the two movies can kind of almost be in the same universe.
Yeah, I thought that was a really fun little call out. I mean, whether or not they do exist together.
Right, we don't know.
It's still a fantastic little...
It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
So the giant rat of Sumatra is actually, there's a little bit more of a lore behind it.
Give us some realism.
I want to give you some deep lore.
All right, connect us to the real world, Leia.
So it is a fictional giant rat, which was first mentioned by Arthur Conan Doyle in The Adventures of the Sussex Vampire. So it's one of 12 Sherlock Holmes stories that were collected between 1921 and 1927 as the case book of Sherlock Holmes. So it was originally published in January of 1924 in the issues of the Strand magazine in London and Hearst International in New York as part of the tale. The protagonist, Sherlock Holmes, declares that there is a story connected with this rat, presumably a detective case that he had handled at one point.
Sure.
The ambiguity surrounding the rat and its relationship to Sherlock Holmes has caused authors of Sherlock Holmes' pastiches to create stories based on it. So the tale of the giant rat of Sumatra is one of these such pastiches.
Yeah.
That's where that all came from.
That's pretty awesome.
Peter Jackson stole that.
Yeah, he did.
To use that for this movie.
He seems to have changed the creature on its face, but
he did.
He got that name.
But he used that. Well, it's a fictional rat in the Adventures of the Sussex Vampire,
So why not? So speaking of the Sumatran rat, Raticus.
Nauticus raticus.
Simian.
Nastius raticus.
Simian raticus. This is not something that I've verified, but again, it's a supposition. All of the various zombies, once they turn, they just sort of stay as the being that they are. They're brainless. They do still do some normal. Lionel teaches them.
They still have sex.
They still have sex. They still sort of interact with each other, right?
That's a baser instinct, I suppose. Anyway.
But there's one zombie that is very distinctly different from the rest in that. So Mum, when she becomes a zombie, her zombie sort of evolves along the way.
She doesn't just turn right away.
Yeah. She goes from being kind of the brainless zombie that you see everyone else as to becoming like more disfigured and growing grosser over time, and her body shape being amplified and twisted and changed. She's more brutal than the rest.
She's like she's like the zombie mom.
And there's even a sequence in the film where she has nearly what seems like full consciousness again.
Giant knockers and she becomes a huge ass.
And she becomes an enormous beast of a monster.
Dude, that was shocking to see. Holy macaroni.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
In that.
Like my eyes were just like full of like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, a whole lot of horror happening on that rooftop. My supposition, Mum was bitten by the rat. Everyone else was infected via Mum, right? So is it sort of like where you're bitten by the source, you're bigger and stronger, but if you're bitten by something subsequent, you're not as strong, you're not like the head.
I don't know, maybe you should call up Peter Jackson and ask him.
Maybe I should.
Yeah.
I've got his number.
I know you do. It's on speed dial.
Short guys stick together.
Yeah, you do. Hobbits for life.
Anyway, I just thought that was sort of a weird little contemplation.
Interesting. I never thought about that. But you're right. She is the completely different zombie than the rest of them.
Evolve that same way.
Kind of keep their same humanoid figure. She does not look like a regular. She looks very alien. Speaking of Mom, when she dies and they all go to the church and they have the funeral, did you happen to notice the song that was playing on the organ?
Oh, Leia. Do you know how many times I've watched Meet the Feebles?
I didn't notice.
You are not going to sneak a song from Meet the Feebles past me.
Can I say the title of the song? Because y'all are going to be like, no way. But this is a song in Meet the Feebles created by Sir Peter Jackson. And the song is called Sodomy.
Yes, it is.
The organ is playing that song at her funeral. What the fuck, man?
The composer who worked on this film, his name is Peter Descent, or Descent, or Descent, maybe. He also did the music work for Meet the Feebles.
Oh, he had to have so much fun with that.
The song in this movie, the version of the song it sounds like almost a sped up, semi-distorted version.
So it wouldn't be
of the one from
relatively easy to write off the bat.
Yeah.
Once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
Yeah. Once you know it's there, you hear it literally every time you watch it. Yeah, that's the one.
So Peter Jackson really likes to pay tributes to certain things in his film. Like he likes to put little things here and there to like an homage to this or an homage to that. He met Diana Pinolver. When he met her, she was working on a film that was directed by Fernando Trueba. She has a dog, and the dog's name is Fernando. Yeah, which I actually love that name for a dog. Yes, by the way, name your dog Fernando. That's so cute.
That is a phenomenal dog name. I love that.
He also put some symbolism in the tarot card deck. It's a standard tarot card deck, but there were several cards in that deck that they made specifically for this film.
Customized.
They had to be customized just for this film. There is a black armored knight in this deck. When Lionel first meets Paquita, he tries to buy some black knight licorice.
Right. The card shows up as a black knight, and she's like, well, that doesn't look like... I think there's another man she was infatuated with, Richard. And
that changed fast.
Grandma goes, that is not Richard.
But he doesn't look like Roger.
It is not Roger.
Still a knight clad in black. And then, like you say, the black knight licorice.
That's how she was like, oh my God.
But it's also when he takes that licorice, clumsy old Lionel spills a whole bunch of things across the desk.
That's part of it.
And they happen to form the shape.
You will recognize this man by the symbol of the star and of the moon.
And then she went crazy and forgot about the other guy.
Forgot about the other guy.
Just like that. Boom, done.
Grandma told her it was her love forever.
Forever. She was really pushy, too.
She really was.
Yeah.
Almost to a worrying degree.
Yeah, I was like, what am I watching right now? She's stalking him. You know, Simon Pegg said that Braindead is one of the main influences for his 2004 film, Shaun of the Dead. Which I thought
see that.
Is really cool.
Another darkly comic.
Lots of blood.
Movie,
lots of blood.
Lots of
comedy.
Goofiness, slapstick. Sure. Yeah. With Simon Pegg leaving us with a good word, maybe we leave this whole gathering for another week, huh? We did make it through our little wee gathering, and Leia, I didn't see anyone using their vomit bags.
No. Well, they haven't watched the film yet. It's for them to take later to watch it.
It is, but I was hoping we'd get a few.
We could talk about the scene where they're eating custard.
We could. That would, I think, probably do it.
Because it almost did it for me.
Yeah, that is
Couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah.
I was like, really?
What? No pudding?
Only custard, I'm afraid.
Custard? I haven't had a good custard in years. She never makes the stuff.
Go watch the custard scene, folks.
Yeah. The mom has her friends over.
The Wellington Women's League.
Wellington Women's League.
Yeah.
She's got a piece of skin hanging off her face that they've glued back on. And she's got...
Mom's having a bad day.
She's having a bad day. That scene, if that doesn't make you sick, that made me sick. And it takes a lot. Blood does not do it.
No, not typically.
That did it.
That got it.
Yeah. I didn't throw up, though.
The custard did look delectable, however.
It did, yes, it did. When he started to eat it, and then that scene happened. So anyway.
All right, well.
Sorry.
Again, I was hoping we'd be able to see somebody use the bag here. I didn't. Leia, I did not pay a lot for those bags. There's no way that I paid so much money that the movie theater lobby would be in trouble
Okay.
for those bags. That did not happen.
All
I
right.
got them for a song.
Are
Okay,
you-
never mind. No. Let's move on.
Are you trying to convince me you didn't pay a lot for those bags, even though you did? Okay, the eyeballs say a lot, just saying.
to
You guys can't
continue-
see his eyeballs, but I can.
To continue to interact with the show, you can find
Subject change.
our show at themovietheaterlobby.com. You can email the show directly at themovietheaterlobby@gmail.com. Go ahead and find us over on Blue Sky.
Super active over there.
Yeah, we've been trying to stay as active as we can over there at the Movie Lobby on Blue Sky. Guys, I'm really bad at social media in general, so all the other media points we have for the show, we'll still check in now and again, but we're not nearly as active on those. So Facebook, Instagram, we're over there, just not doing a whole
check
lot.
it here and there.
Yeah, it's just a place for anyone who doesn't want to use Blue Sky. Maybe they can find us there if they want to get in touch with us. If you want to find me, Brandon, just find me at Blue Sky at BrandMC. And then, of course, Leia, as always, we round this out with you because we saved the best for last.
You can
Where do
always
we find
find me, Leia McClevey, at LM Nerd Room on all of the previously mentioned socials and at lmnerdroom@gmail.com if you have something you want to tell me personally.
Indeed.
Yeah,
That's
Blue
the secret
Sky.
stash.
Blue Sky is so fun.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying talking with everybody over there on Blue Sky.
A lot of people interacting with us, keeping us busy over
Mhm.
there. Anyone who listens, I don't care who you are. If you want to come chat with us over there, please do. Anything else to mention, or are we good here?
I think we're good.
All right. Again, since nobody used their vomit bags, we have nothing to clean up.
Thank
I
God.
guess on a bright side,
We still wouldn't have had anything to clean
we'll
up.
call that, that's true.
Because
Those
you
are some
gave them
nice
vomit bags.
I'm going to use those for other things. That's stupid. Let's just put an end to this episode week, and we'll see everyone next week. Oh, wait, Leia.
What?
Before we leave, I have to say thank you to everyone for their time and attention and listening to our wee little show here.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Leia, I couldn't do the show without you. And since you keep inviting me back, I feel I have to say, Leia, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brandon, for, coming along and being here with me
And
on my show.
Doing my really obnoxious wordplay on your show. Of course, people, everyone, thank you again. And we'll see you all next week on
The Movie Theater Lobby.
No! You just get out of here.
What?
Haven't seen Mum yet.